Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome. What up, people? It's your boy Chig from Green Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. And it's the video that people have been calling for. It is the Team of the Decade video, where I talk to you about who's in my team for Team of the Decade. And it's not been a great decade for Arsenal. Let's just call it what it is. Hashtag decade of decline. We were promised all sorts. Uh, Before '06, I think it was '04 actually. When we were told about this project initially, we were promised all sorts of things were going to happen. That we were going to compete with the likes of Bayern Munich. We were going to compete with the likes of Real Madrid and all these sort of grand gestures from Ivan the Weasel. And a decade on, sorry, more than a decade on. In fact, by the time we got to the start of this decade, we realized just how full of BS that was. At the start of a decade, we had the likes of people like Denilson in the team and people like that. And, you know, you had people like RVP and Nazari just getting the itch to leave, to the situation we have now, where another one of our captains, yes, apparently we are still not past this point, another one of our captains now wants to leave the club. And it must be honest, can anyone blame these people for wanting to leave the club? You know, it just seems as though for whatever reason we get ourselves into a situation whereby we are making people captain who are most likely going to leave the club. Um, I don't blame, the likes of Aubameyang. I've got my own opinions on the Aubameyang thing. I thought I was going to be able to do that video today. It's more likely I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, a little bit hungover. So do bear with me for that one. But I've got a lot to say about that situation. But let's talk about the team of the decade, and it is where it is. We are where we are. We are where a lot of us predicted we'd be. Let's be honest. I think from my perspective, yes, I was Wenger out officially from 2015, but we all saw this decline happening. We all saw this. We all saw this happening. We all saw this developing. That we could be a team that becomes a mid-table team if we're not careful. You know, we have now made this American owner the sole owner. That's something that's obviously happened in the last decade. We went from having a board of shareholders to now this man pretty much owns everything and everything is dictated to his terms. And it seems like under his leadership, we've declined even more rapidly than we were declining under Arsene Wenger and Ivan Gazidis. We are currently, as I record this video, sitting in 12th place. If you had to do the same thing in 2010, I think we were fifth, maybe I want to say fourth or fifth. So and this time 10 years ago. So I mean that just shows you the rapid decline that we've had under Stan's leadership. From my personal perspective, do I have any hope? I think there are reasons to be hopeful, but I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end. But it hasn't been a great decade for us. We've ended a decade with 3 trophies, all being, sorry, excuse me, we've ended the decade in 4, was it 3 trophies? Oh my gosh, it really is 3 trophies. And they were all the same trophy. It was the FA Cup. And there's nothing to be snarked at with the FA Cup. Big up to you, Gary. Thank you for the donation, mate. And Happy New Year to you too, my bro. I hope you have a good one. And yeah, from my own perspective, I'm just at the point now where I'm shrugging my shoulders. Who could, I'm just, it's one of those ones where how bad can it continue to get? But it can always get worse. I honestly believe I'm looking at this situation with the Aubameyang situation, and as we head into 2020, you're looking at it, but conceivably, we could get relegated. I mean, that is a real prospect that I think people are still in denial about. But we are not Arsenal of even 10 years ago. That's the truth. We're not even that. We are a shadow of themselves. You know, I'm getting to the point now where even when my girl asks me, "Oh, have Arsenal lost again?" That's the expectation now. You know, whereas before it was a surprise when Arsenal lost. Yes, even 10 years ago it was a surprise when Arsenal lost. Now it's the expectation that Arsenal have not won, and that is something, and that is a narrative that this board, if they want people like me to take them seriously, and you guys know, if you're a long time subscriber of this channel, you know I've never been a particularly big fan of this board. I gave them some credit in the summer because of the first time I saw them dig deep into their pockets and try and do something to try and lift this club. They're going to have to do that again. They're going to have to do that again and again and again in order to lift us just to an acceptable level, never mind where we actually want to be. And it was just looking back at this team, and I just look back at our decade of destruction, and I look back at it, and I just think to myself, more like self-destruction, because I look back at it, and I just think to myself, look at this. If you compare this decade team to the previous decade or the previous decade before that, they get smacked up. And here's me sat here now, still jealous of this team. That is how badly we have fallen. Oh, it's so annoying. It's so frustrating. And honestly, even this year has been probably the worst year I've ever had or I've ever experienced as an Arsenal fan. Um, but from my own hope and feeling and perspective and desire and just general prayers is that Arsenal get better, because you know it's painful watching them. It is really painful watching them at the moment. You know, everyone knows I have, or if you don't know, I have a little side team who are in the conference, the Haringey. I can't remember what their side name is. Just shows you they're a side team, but they're a side team. But then another local team of mine, at least if they lose, cool. I'm used to it. I'm not used to this as an Arsenal fan. And I don't want to get used to it. I want to feel like I'm proud of watching my team, you know, because they're whooping people's ass. I honestly don't mind about getting rid of superstars like Aubameyang. I've said freely on this channel. In fact, me and Lee have said it for a long time and have been constantly bashed. I'd sell Aubameyang. Even before this, I'd have sold Aubameyang because I don't think he has long left at the top anyway. So I would have sold him anyway. But the fact that he's more or less come out and said he wants to leave now, I mean, what kind of feeling does that give the entire squad? You know, we're just gonna have people. It's gonna be like a desert. It's gonna be like a drowning ship. Just people wanting to just bounce off that ship. From my perspective, though, I hope for better. I hope that when I show you this team, and I will show you this team shortly, that come in a decade's time when I'm talking to you guys, and hopefully I'm still talking to you guys and still having jokes with you, and I'm showing you the team of the decade, there's going to be a lot better than this. There's going to be a lot better than this. Having said that, suppose I'm going to do this old school style the way I would normally do it if I'm going to do a preview. I'm going to show you my team of the decade. By the way, big up to everybody that is watching. I get that it's New Year's Eve and you guys are preparing for your New Year's Eve. Please do stick a like on this video. I will be doing a preview for Man United. Unfortunately, it won't be in the usual style preview that I do with Stel. I'm going to see if Stel can come on for the review, though, and we'll talk about the review together with Lee. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to bring him on because I've just got stuff to do. So I'm going to actually pre-record that Man United preview, and that will drop a bit later. So do bear with me when that happens. But big happy New Year to you guys as well. All right, and do stick a like on this video. I know I always say that, but if you guys could, that'd be great. All right, let me show you what my team of the decade looks like. Bear with me. Here we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. This is my team of the decade. I'm going to explain each and every section as you guys can't see the whole thing. So obviously, as you can see, I've gone with Szczesny in goal. To me, yes, I do believe he was better than Cech when he came over. I think Cech had a handful of good games. I think Leno. Listen, maybe I was a bit harsh with Leno at the weekend, but I must admit, I still am not completely yet convinced by Bernd Leno. I think he is a fabulous shot stopper. But I think when people see his shot stopping, people get clouded and think, oh, okay, that means he's a good goalkeeper. No, he's an excellent shot stopper. I've always said the same thing. My concern about Bernd Leno is the rest of his game. That's my concern with him. I think with Szczesny, he could do everything. His biggest problem was up here, this concentration. And that, to be honest, is where I'm a bit annoyed because we gave up on him way too soon. You know, I think we sold him in the end at the age of 27. And for goalkeeping terms, I mean, that's like a baby. It's like the equivalent of giving up on a 21-year-old player. Like, but why would you do that? And that's why I'm so adamantly why I defend people like, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and I defend people like, Alex Iwobi when he was here, because with those guys, they were so young, they could still go on and be something. And you see Szczesny kick on now, playing for Juventus and pulling out performances. And you look at our goalkeeper situation, you just imagine if we had Szczesny and Leno as our two goalkeepers. I mean, it'd be infinitely stronger than our situation at the moment. We've got we've got two goalkeepers, one who's an excellent shot stopper, one who's an excellent distributor. It's just like, I mean, Arsenal can do some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible. Moving on to the back line. Sorry, I'm showing you this in sections, but it is where it is. We come to the back four. And that is Monreal, Mertesacker, Koscielny, and Bellerin. I just couldn't think of anyone else that would or should be in that back four. I know a certain friend of mine will hate the fact that I put him in because he cannot stand him. But it's just a sorry state of affairs. Can you think of anyone that should be a better right back than him? I can't. Koscielny, again, someone who I think was capable of giving you a 9 out of 10, but was equally capable of giving you a 3 out of 10. Very accident prone, very. I don't think necessarily he had the good defensive chops here, but the one thing I will say for Koscielny, particularly pre Achilles injury, I thought he was excellent at recovering from errors, because I don't think he was a great reader of the game, but what he used to be was very, very good at recovery tackles and things like that. But he was also an absolute haphazard at giving away penalties. But again, defensively, we're so terrible. He's literally the best thing we've had. He's probably the best he's the best, one of two best defenders we've had in the last decade. Mertesacker is one defender I think as the years roll on, fans will appreciate more and more and more. Because I always saw someone in Mertesacker, and this is why people will say, oh, you really saw it. I beg you go and check my Arsenal versus Chelsea preview. I beg. That FA Cup final, you've heard me talk about it on this channel. Yours truly was the only one that said, my man must not only play, must start, and not only must he start, I bet money he's the best player on the pitch, right? And I think I made some sort of stupid bet about, I'll sit here, literally put egg on my face if this man does not play well. And I remember, if you watch my chat room at the time, it's blowing up with people telling me I'm crazy, I'm this, that, and the other. Oh, Chig, you've lost your mind, yada, yada. Even Lee was like, I don't know what you're smoking, right? Everyone was saying that. Roll on to that final. Not only did Mertesacker kill it, my man was man of the match. And you saw the birth of Smug Chig the very next, on the review. Monreal, this one was close for me because I thought it was between him and Clichy. Clichy left obviously to go on and play for Man City. I thought Clichy was very underappreciated by Arsenal fans. I thought he did a very, very solid job, was always reliable, was always very capable. And actually, to me, it was pretty close. But I went with Monreal in the end just because I felt that that would be, he was the most consistent. His longevity was always a 7 out of 10. The season that Ramsey most recently won Fans Player of the Year, it should have been Monreal. Like, it should have been 100% Monreal. And for me, he's a player that I think, again, much like Mertesacker, I think we'll appreciate him more as the seasons roll on. Then you obviously have our core midfield. You have Aaron Ramsey, Santi Cazorla, and Gilberto. Yes, Gilberto has been included in there. I believe he left in 2011. But it just goes to show you that he's played 2 years of this decade, and I still would have him over any other defensive midfielder we have. Yes, over Torreira, people. I think Gilberto, again, was another player, even at the time, vastly underappreciated by a lot of Arsenal fans. But I think he did such a good job in that whole that clean-up position. We've not seen anyone like that since. Just someone who was just satisfied, just doing the DM job. Didn't need to do anything else, just doing the DM job and cleaning up. And I think Gilberto deserves his place in the team. Now, obviously, the obvious admission here is Mesut Ozil. I don't think Mesut Ozil gets in here by name. He should get in here purely by form, and I've not seen enough of him over the last 6-7 years to say, yeah, he should be in this team. You know, he's in January, it'll be 7 years. And let's be real here. What have you seen to say that he deserves a place in this team over the last decade? Nothing. I don't care how good he played in the last game. I'm talking about the last few years. Whereas one thing I would say, I never was a big fan of Aaron Ramsey. For me, Aaron Ramsey was always one of those frustrating players where I couldn't understand how this guy would constantly get in the team. Constantly, no matter what. In spite of bad form, he'd get in the team. You could be playing on the right, he'd get in the team. You could be playing in the left, he'd get in the team. He was the original. Has this guy got nudes on the manager player, right? But the one thing I would say for him, for his FA Cup escapades, and actually for me, he finished on a great note for me, was I thought he was the consummate professional at the end. When he was offered a contract by Ivan the Weasel that was mad, obviously the new board was like, no, took that away. And anybody would have been spiteful in that situation. Not him. He gave everything to the very end. And unfortunately for him, he ended up missing a final because of it. A final we could have really done with him in. Because the one thing I will give Aaron Ramsey for finals, my man turns up. I will say that for him. He turns up. And for me, a player that I think, another player actually, that as the years roll on, will appreciate more. I do think some Arsenal fans overdo it. Like, they constantly stalk him for Juventus now. I'm just like, oh, all right, I ain't going that far. But I do think that he is a player that will learn to appreciate as the years roll. This is going to be a constant theme, by the way, as the years roll on. Santi Cazorla, for me, simply put, the best Arsenal player I've seen in the last decade. Full stop. I don't care how many injuries he picked up. The best Arsenal player, and actually the player, in my opinion, over the last decade that we've missed the most is Santi Cazorla. Because this guy was the guy that somehow made Mesut Ozil play decent football in the early days. And for me, I think he's the guy that we missed the most. He could do everything. Left foot, right foot, could shoot from anywhere, could take a free kick, could pass literally a football through an eye of a needle, could tackle towards the end of his career when he lost his pace, adapted his game, moved from the wing to the central midfield and became an even better player, became that quarterback player, became the player that I think some people think Granit Xhaka is. You know, the guy that could tackle, but could also hit a 30-yard pass, but at the same time could also hit a 5-yard pass through 4 players, no problem. The player, in my opinion, I think we missed the most. And then moving on ahead, it was obvious for me. Sanchez was the obvious standout here. There was no one in my mind that I would have picked on the left-hand side. It had to be Sanchez, and for me, a player who, in the end, I was a bit salty towards because I felt like his form dramatically dipped, and we obviously saw then what happened when he moved to United, and he was just never the same player. I don't know what happened to Alexis Sanchez, but for the brief time that we had him, I wish he had gone into a better team because he deserved his talent and his work rate deserved a better team. What couldn't he do? Another one who was mainly right-footed but could also go to the left, has so much pace, was so tenacious, would track back anywhere to win the ball, was an absolute dog on the field. He was the type of player that fans would love, and that's why most fans loved him. And Alexis Sanchez, for me, I think it's undisputed has to be in this team. On the right hand side, I'm going to go for Wally Walcott. Yes, Theo Walcott. A player who I've underappreciated a lot. I will accept that. But when you look at this man's numbers, it's hard to deny that actually my man weren't that bad of a player, you know. You weren't that bad of a player at all. He another one who gave everything on the pitch. Sometimes would walk around, had so much pace, so much pace. You could see now that he plays for Everton, that pace is clearly gone. But he has so much pace. My biggest issue with Walcott was his indecision wasn't the best. But actually, when you look at his numbers, the one thing he was excellent at was getting to that byline and getting the ball across, at least across into a danger area. I don't think his passing was all that great, but across into a danger area, he was very good at. He was very good at providing the extra options. Essentially, what I'm saying, and that much I will give him. And I can't think of any other right winger that I'd have, to be honest. So yes, I've gone with Wally Walcott for that one. And then up top, I've gone with Aubameyang. I've seen a lot of people put Olivier Giroud for the fact that he scored 100 goals for Arsenal. Okay, cool. And I think that's a great achievement. But actually, for me, I think Aubameyang has been a better player. To me, has made more impact than Giroud. Now, I know people will say, oh, but Giroud won trophies for the club. All right. It's my team, people. I just think, for me, I just feel like he'd be a better. I think he was a better player than Giroud. I know Giroud is still playing, so it's like, what are you talking about? But I think if you compare both of them at their peak for Arsenal, to me, Aubameyang was always a better player. I think Giroud again is another player who I think, as years roll on, people will appreciate. No, and which brings me to another question: would I re-sign Giroud? No, I freaking wouldn't. But yeah, to me, I just thought Aubameyang was a player who, or is a player who, I think one thing I will give him is he's a goal scorer. And I think next to an Alexis Sanchez and even potentially a Walcott, that could do something. Particularly if Santi's the one just dictating play, and then you've got the late runs of Aaron Ramsey just coming in. I think that would be a really potent team. Having said that, let's be real here. This team is getting smacked up by previous Arsenal teams of the decade. But we are where we are, and it is what it is. But you guys let me know what you think of this team. I'm going to literally stay with you for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to get to pre-recording the Arsenal versus United preview. Please do stick a like in this video if you're enjoying what you're watching. And do hit that subscribe button as well. I've got a lot for you over the next week or so in terms of videos I plan to do. So hold on, let me stop sharing. You can see my mug now, clearer. People say Thomas Rosicky. I love Thomas Rosicky, but come on. Chig, RVP is the best forward of the decade. Not for me. I think RVP was an excellent player, particularly in his last season, but we only saw that in his last season. We saw somebody who had a lot of injuries until that very last season before he went to United. I think it's a decent shout, but I personally wouldn't have had him in there. So yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'd take Callum Wilson. I would take Callum Wilson. Anyone else? Wait, have I missed any donations? Let me just check that. Oh no. Just have to do that. I can see this guy. What did you guys say? Name 3 players we have to sign in January. I will do all that. I promise you. That's a New Year's Day video. Is Lee in the chat room? Let's see what you lot are saying. RVPs are forward of the decade. Lots of RVPs. Sanya. Yeah, Sanya could get it, to be fair. I wouldn't hate on you if you put Sanya. You think RVP is the best player of the decade? Nah, not for me. Santi for me. Okay. Chig, what about Santi Corzolo? But it's your team. I put Santi in my team, bro. I literally just spent the last 5 minutes saying that I think Santi is not only in my team of the decade, he's the best player that we had in the last decade. Rosicky was too injury prone. I loved Rosicky, but he was too injury prone. Where's Wilshere? No, not for me. All right, guys, I'm gonna literally start to head up out of here. Any last questions? Any last questions? Let me just check something because someone just said something in the chat and I just want to check it. I know I'm right, but I just want to be sure that I'm right. Because if I've obviously put them in and that wasn't the case, then that's embarrassing. Okay. So, oh, I've done something wrong. I've done something wrong. And I don't know why I've done that, but I've done something wrong. So I put Gilberto Silva in a team. I was convinced he left in 2011. Absolutely convinced. He left in 08. Yeah. Idiot. Oh well, it's done now. But it doesn't mean Jack's getting in. It still don't mean Jack's getting in. Just to be clear. Still don't mean Jack's getting in. No, Nasri's not getting in. So I'm going to think of honourable mentions. Nasri I did think about. Not for me. RVP is obviously one that people have talked about. I think he had a fabulous last season, but I don't think that means that he deserves to be in a team of the year. I think for me, the only debate you can have with Uber is if Juru should be ahead. Cesc, yeah, I'd put Cesc in there ahead of Gilberto, of course. So yes, I'd put Cesc in there. So that would be my reverse. In fact, let me change that now. So I make that nice and clear. Hold on. Let's edit. Pretend that didn't happen. It means we have no DM, which would be probably going to be a bit of a problem. But Rago, we've been playing like we've had no DM anyway. There you go. Hold on. Oh, laptop. Don't do some nonsense here. Right, so fix that. Edit. No, I'm not going to put Diaby in there. So I say Diaby. If Diaby was fit, then yes, of course I would have put him. But yes, there you go. That's my team of the decade. Which is probably apt because we don't have a DM, and the defenders we have in now not the greatest. Probably the best defender among those four is Mertesacker. But yeah, that is my team of the year, which I can't fully get into the screen, which is frustrating. Oh, it's gone up too much now. But yeah, that's my team of the decade. Can anyone think of any DMs that should be in there? But yeah, I think there's a reason to put everyone else in there. Because even with Cesc, I was debating Cesc for a while. This is when I thought Gilberto left in 2011. With Cesc, he was very close to being in there. That was the one that I struggled to keep out. So now that Gilberto doesn't count, I'll put Cesc in there. But yeah, for me, that is my team of the decade. So yeah, I'll stop sharing now. Now that I've embarrassed myself. Francis Coquelin, no, not for me. Flamini, no. Alex Song, no. Chig Francis is a DM, playing well at Valencia. Marian Chamat, Omar, of course he is. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Sorry about the error about Gilberto, and completely. The person that I think I'm getting him confused with, ironically, I think is Cesc Fabregas, who left in 2011. So yeah, I just had a little bit of a brain fart there. So yeah, that would be my team of the year. Bellerin or Sanya is probably the other headache I did have. Clichy and Monreal I did consider, but I went with Clichy in the end. But yeah, that for me is my opinion on that. What's in your home? Sanya is a better defender. We haven't had a world class DM in the last decade. Should name 3 players who did sign in Chandler. I keep getting asked this question. I will answer that soon. Not in this video. All right, that's pretty much it from me. I'm going to pre-record my Man United Arsenal versus Man United video. People talk about San. Yeah, and I will be back a bit later on. But I guess from me to you guys now, live, please do please do have an absolutely wonderful Happy New Year. Please enjoy yourself. Drink responsibly, genuinely. Don't cause any mayhem. I know I'm gonna get lots of DT's been arrested comments tomorrow, but you motherfuckers don't get arrested yourself tomorrow. All right. So take it easy. Be well. Hopefully we'll watch Arsenal win tomorrow together. And that's that, people. All right. We're out of here. Take care. Deuces.